Hi Windows artists, it is time for another project. We are going to make this one a 2-week project because next week is Thanksgiving. We won't have Windows art next week, so you'll get 2 whole weeks to work on this one. We are going to be working on 2 different vocabulary words this week. One is perspective and the other is space. So space is the area around something that you are drawing or painting or using mixed media. And perspective is when you show depth with something that you're drawing. So it's going to look like it's moving back in the space, but on a 2D surface. So it looks sort of 3-dimensional, but it's really flat. The project this week is going to look a little bit like an optical illusion. It's going to look like it's getting smaller and bigger as you look into the center and then around the edges. And we're going to work together on this. This week you're going to need a sketchbook or white paper, it doesn't matter, just a good size piece of paper. If you have a ruler, that would be helpful. If you don't, you could always use the edge of a book or a magazine or a piece of cardboard, whatever you have lying around. You'll need a pencil, okay? If you have a Sharpie, that would be amazing. If not, we can use a black pencil or a black twistable. I know a lot of you have those now. So we need those things. And then if you have small squares or rectangles or tracers or Legos, that would actually work really well. We want them to be squares or rectangles. So you can trace them, or you could actually draw a bunch with the ruler, but it would be a lot faster and easier if you were tracing some different shapes. These are, this is a rectangle and a square. These are my daughter's makeup, so we're going to borrow those. So come back with all these materials in just a moment. Meet me here and I'll see you in a second. All right, so I have a Sharpie, a pencil, some tracers, and a ruler. These are my materials for today. So we are going to, I'm going to start with the pencil. You can use a Sharpie, but if you want to erase, obviously you can't do that. So I would recommend using a pencil. And you're going to put a dot somewhere near the middle of your paper. I have it horizontal, but you can turn it vertically as well. It doesn't really matter. So I'm going to put just a little dot right in the center so you can see it. Okay, and I'm going to take my squares and my rectangle and I'm going to start tracing them. Okay, so I'm going to, doesn't matter what direction they're in right now. This one has a little bit of an angle. Also, you can see that I didn't close it all the way because these have little like hinges on them. So if you don't have something perfectly square or rectangular, that's okay. You can just kind of fill it in with your pencil after. I'm going to trace a bunch of these all over, and then I'm going to come back to you. So I want you to keep putting them. You can have some coming off the side. You can have some, don't have them overlapping, okay? They have to be in their own space and they can't go too close to the center dot. I'm going to speed this up while I trace and then I'll come back. Okay, so you can see I added some different sized squares, rectangles. I did them kind of all around the center dot. I didn't get too close to my center dot. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to outline all of my squares and rectangles with a black Sharpie, or you could use a twistable or a black pencil. That's Georgia squeaking her toy because she wants to be part of the video. All right, I'm going to speed it up again. Okay, so as you can see, I traced all of the squares, rectangles, and I added a couple more small squares and rectangles near the center, but not directly in the center by the dot. What you're going to do next is using a black Sharpie, a black pencil, a black twistable, a black pen. You're going to add some black designs to each of these shapes. So I'm going to speed mine up because it's going to take me a little bit, and I want you guys to work on yours, and then when you're finished, come on back. Okay, artists, I am done with my black and white designs. I have done some a little bit heavier with my marker so they look a little bit darker. Some are random, some have a little bit more pattern going on. It took me a little while to do that. So when you're done designing all of your shapes, your rectangles and squares, with some kind of black, I would like you to stop for the week. Do not add anything, do not do any lines, nothing. So you are going to be done. This is going to be due in 2 weeks. And then in 2 weeks, you're going to need a ruler, a Sharpie, and something to color with, either Twistables or crayons. But that's in 2 weeks. We'll talk about that later. So for now, you are done.